Shalom. Today's talk is going to be on the word rabbi, and that's a word we often hear, especially within Judaism, and it's becoming more and more prevalent within the Messianic movement of today, where people seem to be very much trying to unite or join things of Judaism with, in a sense, things of Christianity. I foresee it, and many of these people that within the Messianic movement have come out of Christianity and seem to be taking on more and more and more of the traditions and terminologies of Judaism. So what does the word rabbi actually mean? Now, we're commonly told by most rabbis, and also most within the Messianic movement and Judaism itself, that the word simply means my teacher or teacher. Now, this is a commonly held belief, and very, very few people, if any that I've come across, would say any different. Now, if this were true, and if it is true, and if it turns out to be true, then there is absolutely no problem whatsoever calling a Torah instructor rabbi, which means in that case would mean my teacher. But it would also hold true for a teacher of quantum mechanics, a teacher of physics, a teacher of mathematics, a teacher of motor mechanics, a teacher of bricklaying, a teacher of carpentry, a teacher of medicine. A teacher of anything would be called rabbi, and would be legitimately called rabbi if it holds true. You know, you can even call an imam from Islam a rabbi if he's a teacher. You can call someone from Hinduism rabbi if he's a teacher, if it holds true that the word simply means my teacher. But if it doesn't mean that, what else does it mean? And if it means something entirely different, why is a true meaning being withheld from the ordinary people? Why is there a deception going on? That's the question we've got to answer. And so, me being me, I have to question things. I need to know what something actually means. I need to be sure that if I'm going to be calling someone rabbi, that I am actually correct in doing so and I understand the meaning of it. If it's wrong, then I need to know why it's wrong, how it's wrong, and again, if it is wrong and we're being misled, why are we being misled? And the final question I need to address is, should we use this term, no matter what it means, as applied to people or not? That is another question that has to be answered. So, for the first basic question, what does the word rabbi actually mean? First of all, we need to get to the root of the word, and in this case it's simply rab. Rabbi comes from Rabba, which is the feminine of rab. Rab is the two-letter Hebrew root of rabbi. The I suffix at the end denotes the singular possessiveness. It's like something belonging to me, my. So it's my rab, or my rabbah, if it's in the feminine. So dropping the I suffix, we get the root word of rab. And now, what is the meaning of this Hebrew word? And these definitions I've taken from various different sources. The first is the Theological Word Book of the Old Testament. The second is the complete word study of the Old Testament. And the third is the Ancient Hebrew Lexicon by Jeff Benner. The Theological Word Book of the Old Testament, number 2099, A, meaning A, rab. Many, much, great. This is a common Hebrew adjective meaning much or many. The root is a cognate to both the Ugaritic rab and the Akkadian rabu, which have primary meanings of many. Meaning B, 2099b, rab, chief, captain, a title of Babylonian origin and appears in both Hebrew and Ugaritic. This denotes a chief or an executive of a group such as a military detachment. Meaning C, 2099C. Rob, a multitude or abundance. So as we can see from the theological word book of the Old Testament, Rab can mean many, much, and abundance, a greatness. From the Babylonian root, it means chief and captain. And it can, if it's pronounced Rob, it means a multitude and also abundance. Right, now we come to the complete word study of the word study dictionary of the Old Testament. Number 7227, Rab, an adjective meaning many, much, great, long, mighty. It indicates much in either quantity, glory, or power. Now, the second meaning is the number 7229, Rab, an Aramaic adjective meaning great, boastful, large, used to indicate words of insolence. It indicates a king which is great, a great nation. Now, for the ancient Hebrew lexicon. Rab, and the number is 1439, the two-letter root Rab. The action definition of this root is rule. The pictograph of the head is the resh is a pictograph of a head and denotes the head, top, uppermost. The bayit is a pictograph of a tent and it denotes home, family. So the original meaning of Rab is ruler of the family or the home, and it also carries the meaning of master, one who is in abundance of authority. It also means abundance as in abundance of members, in numbers. It also carries the meaning of archer, but with an unknown, there's an unknown connection to this root. So in essence, the word Rab means much, many, abundance, mighty, master, head of the family, chief, captain. In all those meanings, there is not one mention of the word teacher or to teach. There's nothing about training, instructing. And if you add the suffix, the I suffix to these words, you get my great one, my mighty, my abundant one, my glory, my power. It can even mean my boastful one. Yes, it can. And it can mean my head of the home and family. But again, in all these meanings, there is not one mention of my teacher. The only way you can extrapolate the word or the term or the meaning teacher from this word is by using the one translation of head of the family and extrapolating from that one of the roles of the head of the family, which is to teach the family. But that's not his only role, that's one of the roles. So how can Rab, which can mean head of the family, only mean one aspect of the role of the head of the family? It can't. So it's a deception. Yes, the head of the family can instruct the family, but as I say, that's just one of the functions. He provides for the family, doesn't he? He protects the family. He makes decisions for the family. So if that one term, one definition of head of the family is to be used as teacher, why not say he's my abundance, my provision, my head, my protector? They all hold true on that basis. There's no difference. The head of the family does all those things. But also taking note of, not forgetting that the Babylonian captivity of Yehuda, when they was kicked out of the promised land and taken into Babylon. Rabbi, I believe, come from that period, that time. And the Babylonian meaning of the word is chief and captain, which would actually fit in the way the title is used within Judaism today, within rabbinical Judaism today. The rabbis are the leaders, they're the captains, they're the ones that everyone should follow. So I believe it's they're using it from a Babylonian root rather than the actual Hebrew root for the meaning. Now, another thing I would like to quickly point out is, when you translate one language from one language to another language, titles or names are always transliterated, which means you migrate the sounds of the letters from one language to the target language. Everything else is translated. The meaning to the word migrate rather than the sound of the word. So, like, my name is Peter. My name would sound like Peter whether it's in Hebrew, English, Greek or anything. You transliterate the sounds of the word. But title is different. When titles are given, they can be either transliterated or translated, like the title Elohim, which is often used for the Creator. Now, many people transliterate that, which is okay, but you lose the meaning of what the word actually means in the English. And it's far better to, I believe, to translate titles, or at least, if you're going to transliterate them, have the translation in brackets next to it, so you understand the meaning. And the meaning of Elohim is my mighty authority, or actually mighty authorities in the plural. So with that, with like Yahuwah Elohim Yahuwah is my mighty authority. We understand the connection between me and the Creator. And it's the same with titles, with Rabbi. When they transliterate it rather than translate it, if they were to say, you call me my teacher, or whatever it means, that would be fine. But they don't. They transliterate it and use it as a title and a name. And this makes it even worse, quite frankly. Now, it makes it into something special. Now, as we've seen from the dictionaries and lexicons, the word rabbi literally means my abundance, or my many, or my power, or my archer, or my captain, my chief, my father. It's got all those meanings. So calling someone archer, captain, chief, father in itself isn't wrong, and in many circumstances it's actually right to do so, and it's very, very respectful to do so. And adding the word my before, you're giving the term an element of worship and adoration. You're taking it on and making it, you're possessing it. You're possessing it as your own. You're saying that is my abundance. That is my power. Yeah, you're making it very, very personal. It's like saying, look at Hitler in the Second World War. Führer in German was leader, and the people were shouting, "My Führer, my Führer." It's the same thing. They made him their personal. It's like a demigod, and that's how a lot of people, whether they admit it or not, see rabbis. They see them as they're up on a pedestal. They're up on this big podium, and their word is law. Just like a mein Führer. His word was law. And I see the same thing, the same attitude happening. And it's wrong. They shower upon so many of these rabbis, these self-proclaimed rabbis, and all these that went to rabbinical schools. They shower on them such an abundance of glory, of honour. And I'm sorry, it's undeserved. They are not our abundance. I mean, look at the people of the past that have had the same sort of glory and honour put on them. Apart from the Führer, or the leader, you've got Muhammad, Stalin, Lenin, Mao, and you've got a multitude of others. They all received the same sort of adoration. They're all considered to be my abundance. Just different names. my captains, my leaders, my mighty one, my power, etc., etc., etc. You know, it's the same thing. And look what happened in all cases: death, disaster. And it's the same thing, you know. Rabbis of today, they claim this authority, and they say we must never ever go against them, because that's what the Torah teaches. Now, they are leading thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people to destruction and death, with their lies and their deceptions, with their old traditions, with their religions. And it's the same not just in Judaism, it's just the Messianic movement is starting to become the same. It's been like it for thousands of years within Christianity. It's the same. Same old, same old. So where did the term rabbi come from? Where did it come from as a title that is to be honoured? In ancient Israel, there was never an office. There was never a title of rabbi. Oh yeah, the word rab existed, of course, but it was not applied back then as it was today. And nowhere, absolutely nowhere within the Torah, prophets and Psalms will you see anyone being called rabbi. Ever. I have never found one. Now, the term as it is applied to men today, when the house of Yehuda came to be, and when the house of Yehuda was actually in exile in Babylon. And as I said earlier, Rab was a title of the Babylonian sages, of the captains and the leaders. It was a title that was given to the Babylonian academics, and whose key work at that time was to complete the Babylonian Talmud, or the oral law, the oral Torah as they called it. It comprises the Mishnah and the Gemara, and the sects of the scribes and Pharisees came out of this Babylonian captivity, and they were the first ones known to use the term as it is applied today. And that's basically where it started. It was never used before that. Never once do you hear of any of the sages of old, the King David, all the prophets, all those that walked, Abraham and Moshe. None of them were ever called rabbi. Ever. Okay, let's get to the scriptures. Matthew Yahoo, chapter 23, verse 2 to 12 states, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit on the seat of Moshe. Therefore, whatever they say to you, to guard and do. But do not do according to their works, for they say and do not do. For they bind heavy burdens, hard to bear, and lay them on men's shoulders, but with their finger they do not wish to move them. They do all their works to be seen by men, and they make their tephilim wide and the length of their tzitzits of their garments, and they love the best place at feasts, and the best seats in their congregations, and the greetings in the marketplace, and to be called by men, Rabbi, Rabbi. But you do not be called Rabbi, for one is your Rabbi, the Messiah, and you are all brothers. And do not call anyone on earth your father, for one is your Father, and he who is in the heavens. Neither be called leaders, for one is your leader, the Messiah. But the greatest among you shall be your servant, and whoever exalts himself shall be humbled, and whoever humbles himself shall be exalted. Now, in verse 8 we can plainly see the Messiah tells each and every one of us not to be called rabbi. We are not to be called rabbi under any circumstances. And by implication, we're not to call anyone else rabbi either. If we are following him, no one is to be a rabbi. And as such, We are not to call them Rabbi, but when we do, we are adding to their error. We are adding to their sin. We are adding to their arrogance, their presumptuousness. We are affirming that it's good to call men Rabbi. And that's why we mustn't call anyone Rabbi. So verse 8 plainly tells us, the Messiah plainly tells us, call, let no one be called Rabbi. And if Rabbi means my abundance, only he is our abundance. Only the Messiah is our abundance. No one else. He's our leader. He's our captain. He's the head of our family. He's the head of the home. No man, no person. You know, if we make ourselves a rabbi, if we proclaim to ourselves to be a rabbi, if we proclaim any other person to be a rabbi, we are going against the Messiah, and we are in opposition to the Messiah. We are placing another person as Messiah in place of Messiah, and we are making that person or ourselves anti-Messiah. Every single rabbi is anti-Messiah, and there are many in the world today, be they of Judaism, be they of the Messianic movement, be they even under a different name of priests and pastors and vicars or whatever. Anyone that takes the place of the leader or of a rabbi, they are replacing the Messiah in that role. We are brothers and sisters. We are on an equal footing. We are one in him. It's like me, I'm a leader of no one. I am a teacher of no one. I am a rabbi of no one. Some might say that I'm teaching now, but I'm not. I'm sharing what I find. I'm sharing what I believe Scripture's showing me and where Scripture's taking me. That's all. I'm nothing special. I'm no one. I'm just a brother. As you are. As you're just a sister, a brother. Family members. You know, this section of Scripture also goes on to say that we are to call no man father or leader. And the reason for this is so simple. You know, we have one Father and he's in the heavens. It's not talking about our mortal fathers. It's not talking about our physical fathers. And it's good. Obviously it's good to call them Father. But no, this is referring to our Father in the heavens. You know, as in the term leader, we have one leader and it's our Messiah. We have one teacher. It's a set-apart spirit. She leads us and guides us into all truth. She leads us and guides us into the understanding of the Torah. She leads us and guides us to understand his instructions on how to live a straight life, a straight walk. She guides us. It's her still small voice that guides us. I'm not saying she doesn't place people in the roles of teachers and lead and maybe leaders. Let's face it, Moshe was a leader. And there was others chosen underneath him to lead others. But Moshe was chosen by the Mighty One himself. Not by a self-proclaimed position or some rabbinical school. No. These people were put in place of leadership by the Creator himself. Like King David, like Samuel, like all the prophets. They were all chosen by the Creator himself, not by some man. And they didn't make themselves put themselves in that position. No, we are one family. We belong to one family home. There's one doorway through to that family home. That's the doorway of Messiah's sacrifice and that Passover sacrifice. His doorway goes through the wall only. Many try and get over the wall. They try and scale the wall, but they can't. It's too high. The only way onto the other side, into the family home, onto the narrow path that leads to the home of Yahuwah, and us camping out with him for eternity, is through the narrow, narrow doorway. And our Rabbi, the Messiah Yahusha, opened it with his blood, freely, without cost. Now, are we going to say, no more Rabbi, no more men, no more being led by men? Are we going to be led by our leader, the Messiah? Are we going to spend the time and make the effort to walk after him, to be guided by the set apart and cleansing Spirit, our spiritual mother, in order that we can go home to our Father in the heavens? So should we call any man Rabbi? No. End of story. Never. Unless, of course, you want to replace the Messiah with a man. Unless, of course, you're putting a man up there as an anti-Messiah. If that's the case, then that's your choice. You can carry on doing so. It's not a title, it's not a term, it doesn't mean teacher, it means my abundance. If you want to claim some man as your abundance, you go ahead and claim that, but you'll have to face the consequences of that choice. I, for one, will only claim Messiah as my abundance. Only he is my Rabbi. And I too will have to face the consequence of my choice, be that good or bad. Shalom. I hope this blesses you, as it really has me. And I thank my Father in the heavens so much for being able to share these few words with you. Shalom, shalom.